Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today entitled Inclusive Education. My name is Tom Redmond. I'm the Head of Marketing here at DkIT, and I'm going to be hosting today's session. Today's session is really all about promoting access to higher education. At DkIT, we are committed to promoting a welcoming and inclusive environment on campus. And I suppose today we're going to talk about some key themes about accessing higher education. We're going to talk about services and supports that are offered via our disability office. We're going to talk about the DARE program, which is now available at DkIT. And we're also going to then talk about what you can expect as a student in DkIT, and we hopefully answer some of your questions about the application process, about what things that you can prepare in advance of coming to college, and really hopefully help you with your decision making at this time. So today we have a variety of speakers that I'm just going to pop on screen. So we have our disability officer, Geraldine Kneel, who is going to be online to talk to you about the application process, to talk about the supports offered via her office to students, and really helping students reach their full potential and get the most out of college life. We have Ella Durrigan, who's a third year digital marketing and PR student, who's going to talk about her experience. We have Connor Byrne, who is a second year art student, who also is going to talk about his own unique experience in college, right from the application process through to where he is now. So without further ado, we're going to start with a short overview from Geraldine Kneel, who is going to talk a bit more in depth about the supports offered within the disability office, and specifically about how you can apply to the DARE program via DkIT. So I'm just going to pop Geraldine on screen and remove myself. There we go.
Thanks, Tom.
No problem.
Thanks for the opportunity this morning. Welcome everyone to DkIT's Open Day virtually. My name, as Tom said, is Geraldine Kneel. I'm the Disability Officer in DkIT, and my job is to support students with disabilities at DkIT to help them reach their full potential. The types of service, we meet every student individually. Normally it's face-to-face in the office, but currently we're meeting through MS Teams in the majority of cases. We create a needs assessment, then we have a chat about the supports that you need, and we put in place a learning agreement for you, and that is your contract, if you like, between you and I and your lecturing staff about the supports that you're entitled to while you're a student here, be they in class or for assessment in your final exams or for remote assessment either. So the types of supports we have are catered very much per student. So different disabilities require different supports, and even within a group of disabilities, you'll find that, like say if you had two students with dyslexia, each of them would need different types and levels of support. So that's what I do. I talk to the students and find out what they need. And in order to do that, we need the support and documentation. So evidence of their disability signed by the appropriate professional. And the types of supports that maybe they got in college or in secondary school before they came here, and then their personal statements, things they write on their CAO application. So all of that is brought into the mix when we meet and we decide on the support that a student will need to make them pass their degree and carry on in their chosen career. So that's really the kind of thing. So we can offer personal assistance and note takers and some assistive technology and specified software that will help with spelling and grammar or help with recording of notes. We can work on extended library loans, printing allowances, transport supports, like whatever it is that the students deemed we more than likely can provide it. It's important that you get in touch with us if you have a lot of needs early in the semester, before you even do your Leaving Cert, maybe well before you come to college, so that we can work on getting the supports in place. We can provide as well, sometimes students might need an alternative registration day or time. They're not comfortable coming in big crowds of people, so we can arrange for them to register personally separately at a time that suits them as well. So there's a whole range of different things that students might need, and we do our best to support them all. Just to say a little bit then about the DARE process. The CAO applications opened there on the 5th of November. So from now you can start with your CAO application, and anyone doing Leave Insert this year, I would advise you to, from now, get in touch with your career guidance person in the school, because they are a wealth of knowledge. They're fully trained on how to complete the DARE documentation, and they will support you. And like last year, if anything happens that we have to shut down, if you have your stuff ready to go, it's a stress that's removed from you. You're not going to be worrying on the 10th of March that you haven't got all your forms in place. So just briefly, the dates for DARE. So right now you can start your DARE process, but from the 1st of February, you have to have ticked the disability box on the DARE application, on the CAO application, to indicate that you want to be considered for DARE. By the 1st of March, then you have to tick yes to question 1 and complete section A. By March the 15th, you must have completed, signed and stamped your educational impact statement, your evidence of disability forms, and these must be posted to CAO in Galway. So that's a huge date, the 15th of March. And after that, then CAO do their work, and they will advise you of the outcome of your DARE eligibility or not, round about June. And then there's an opportunity to apply and appeal that decision, and then the offers are done in August normally. So I think that's it. Lots of information on DARE is available on the DkIT website, but accesscollege.ie is the DARE route website. So that's the one that you should be looking towards for information. So I think that's sort of a lot of stuff now at the minute, Tom. So I'll sign off to somebody else, and I can come back on the questions and answers them at other
Sure, no problem. Yeah, we'll be touching on some of those areas that you've mentioned in the Q&A process, but I think that was a really good overview of, I suppose, things that, you know, the DARE process, and I suppose some of the supports that DkIT can offer students through the Disability Office. So I suppose that leads us on to the next area, is, you know, at DkIT we have a very student-centered approach to education, and we try to bring that into everything that we do. And I suppose we have a variety of students. Each student is individual, and each student has diverse and differing needs. And I suppose we have two fantastic students online today who are going to talk about their own experiences, both at DkIT as a student, and also about their interactions with Geraldine and her office, and how that has maybe supported them or helped them, you know, really get the most out of college life. So we're going to start off with as I mentioned, Ella Durgan, who is a third year digital marketing and PR student, and soon to be an intern in my office. I joke, but we would love to have her. Yeah, Ella, so I was just going to get you to give a short overview of, you know, where you are to date at DkIT, thinking back right to when you started your application or your CEO, if you can remember, and then bring us right through to today, and how you found the overall experience, and any guidance or input that you can give to students at this stage would, I'm sure, be very, very welcome. So over to you.
Perfect, thank you so much. So as you said, I'm a third year student. I'm finishing up next year, but for me, college was very difficult at the start. I actually left college twice. I dropped out because I blindly threw myself into college, especially after school. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and then I took a year out, and I just figured out where my strengths and weaknesses were. So I've always liked technology, I've liked photography, I like writing. And then I just did some research. I just looked at different courses. I also that year realized I love traveling. So I went traveling for my first time by myself. And then I learned about being a digital nomad, which is where you travel and work at the same time. And from there, I was like, I want a career like that. So I looked into it, and I found that digital marketing and PR was a great career to have while you're traveling. And then I looked into finding a course. There was only about 2 or 3 colleges in the whole of Ireland at the time actually doing digital marketing and PR. And I was very lucky that DkIT was doing it. I live close to DkIT, and I'd also had dropped out of DkIT twice. So I really wanted to go back to DkIT because the help I got in previous years had been great. So I applied through the CAO. Now, CEO, I would always say, take your time and get help with it. Because with me, even third time, I find it, it's a lengthy process sometimes, and putting it down and getting the right choices can be difficult. So when I started first year, it was great. I went through disability services and I got help, and it was great. I was able to email at any time and go in and just have a little bit of a panic, trying to adjust to everything and the new CAs and all that. But one thing I did find very difficult was I was still getting very overloaded. And my mum actually advised me to email my lecturers. And I was very, didn't want to do that. But I actually decided to do it because I was falling behind and I didn't want another case of dropping out. So what I did was I actually emailed all my lecturers and I told them what my disability was, how it affected me, and how I needed help. And from there on, it went perfectly. Every single lecturer emailed me back, offering me help. What can they do? A, B, and C. Like, for example, like my biggest things in first year was presentations. I could not speak to anyone besides the lecturer, and I was allowed to do one-on-one. But now, they built it up for me even over the years, and like I can get up and do a presentation, I can do this. But if you ask first year Ella to do this, would not have happened. Also, I find very helpful with the disability service. I was put through with learning support, and I met up with someone once a week, and they kind of just sat down with me, went through like study techniques, split up my CAs, sorted out like a calendar, like, this CA isn't due for 3 weeks. Just focus on the one that's due next week, because like I get so overloaded and being like, everything has to be done by the end of the weekend, and it's not the case, so it is. Also, my friends, you meet a lot of people in DkIT and a lot of different people, like with secondary school life, and secondary school quite hard making friends, but with DkIT it's so different. There's so many opportunities to meet people. There's always events being run, and there's also the different societies in DkIT. So for me, I wasn't in any societies in first year, but in second year I did join horse riding. I did that when I was younger, and it's actually great stress relief. And now I'm in third year and it's going great. I have my friends. I have some lecturers and even in third year that I had in first year who were well used to me and trying to do everything in one day. But there is so much support and so much help and so much understanding as well. Even like with some lecturers, they didn't understand my disability, but they asked me to explain, and I did, and it's been going great. So it has.
Great. That was brilliant, Ella. Thank you very much for that. Just like for me, that shows, you're in your third year, so you're about to graduate next year from your level 7. But it shows a massive growth. Obviously from what you're saying, you changed, almost, in terms of confidence, in terms of, your willingness to get involved. So that's a really impressive story, and I think that'll show people that college life, you're at that stage where you are going through a change. You're getting more mature, and with that comes confidence and things like that. So if you don't mind, we'll come back to some of those key areas back in the Q&A. Geraldine.
Can I just say how good it is to hear Ella saying that, and for me that reinforces the importance of disclosure. Some first years coming in, like they've maybe had a hard time in secondary school, and they feel I don't need to disclose my disability, but we're not here to out you, if you like, as having a disability, but we're here to support you. So if you do need help, the way to get it is to come in confidence to the disability office, and we will support you. And then to be able to communicate confidently to the lecturer and staff in DkIT is, as Ella has said, it's just helps you so much, rather than dropping out, to know that the support is there from all the staff, including like lecturers, support admin staff, everybody on campus, our health unit, counselling service, like all the services that we have here are geared towards students. It's why we're here, and I'm delighted to hear Ella is so positive in her disclosure.
100%. Yeah, no, it's great. Perfect. I'm just going to go to our next student then. I'm just going to remove Ella and bring Connor up on screen. So Connor, as I mentioned, is a second year student in DkIT studying the BA Honours in Arts. He's from Clogherhead and I suppose can give his own experience, obviously a very different experience to Ella, but you know, I completely, you know, and that's the important thing here. Every student is unique. So I think, Connor, it'd be great to hear, you know, your experience to date of college life. That's all right.
Yeah, so my experience is a little bit different. I'm actually, like, you can't tell by the webcam, but I'm wheelchair bound. So my disability would be, I guess, a bit more obvious to people as to what my needs might be. Um, yeah, applying for the desk game, same with Al, I'd actually agree with Al, like, you need help, you need, like, I had me parents helping me, that would be my advice, because it can be very, like, overwhelming. But yeah, no, like, I applied for the desk game, and thankfully I didn't need it. I got the points for my course. But while I was in school, I got talking to Geraldine very early on. I got talking to her in maths, and Geraldine's been a big help in the disability office. See, I went to meet her in July, and she established like that I need help getting lifts into the college. So she got in contact with Sevens taxi company, and they, well, before last year anyway, they brought me in every day. Um, and she supplied high low desks for me, so I can use my laptop in class and that. Uh, yeah, I'd agree with Anna as well. Lecturers are very like they're very how would you put it? Sorry, very welcoming. They are very, like, if I ever needed help in any of my classes, like for example presentations, some rooms I can't do presentations in. So when I first said it to them, I was nervous, but straight away I was like, "Oh yeah, Connor, no problem at all. What rooms would be best suited to you?" And that. So yeah, lecturers, they always keep an eye out for their students, especially the disabled ones. They're always helpful. um, with societies and the social aspect of school, like, yeah, college is miles ahead of secondary school, because in secondary school, it's people from the same areas. Like, you know each other well enough. College is a chance to meet people from all walks of life and all different backgrounds. I mean, make friends that you never thought you would. And in terms of society wise, I joined the Institute DkIT, which is the paper society for the college. And our goal is to really help students coming in and let them know what college life is all about, and if they have any problems, to know that they can come to us if they feel, I suppose, intimidated by the student union, which you should never feel. But yeah, it's great. Like, it's great meeting people, and it's, yeah.
Unmute myself. That's great. You know, Connor, thanks very much. And I suppose that you know, you've touched on different aspects of college life there, and we're going to come into those because there's so many different parts, and that's why we're going to take them in the Q&A. But I think it's great to hear, you know, exactly what you're saying. Like, you know, you have obviously gotten very involved in DkIT life. The Institute, just so that clarifies, is a new, well, relatively new publication in the college, and it's really all about promoting student voice. They keep me on my toes by writing stories about things that are happening in college life, and I think that's really important. It shows that the active DkIT student community that we have here. And you know, what it also shows is that you are fully involved in that, and I think the big, you know, question, or the big question we get from students all the time is, you know, how do you, you know, make the most of college life? And I think a big part of it is getting involved and being able to get involved. So you know, I think we're going to touch on some of your areas in the Q&A, if that's okay. So I'm going to go into our Q&A section now. So I suppose this section is really all about free flow discussion. You know, basically we're going to talk about some key questions that commonly are asked by students or applicants at this stage, and we're going to go through a number of areas. We're going to talk firstly a little bit about the application process and just get to drill a little bit deeper into key questions or concerns around that area. Then we're going to talk about the next big stage for applicants, which is the preparing for college, getting ready to settle in, getting things right for you before you join. And I suppose the students, from our students here, your knowledge and thinking back to where you were when you started in your first few weeks and how the feelings and things you went through, any insights and tips that you can offer our applicants, I'm sure they'd be really keen to hear. Then we're going to go into our student experience, and that covers a wide range of areas from the teaching and learning, so what it's like in class, things like the support, other services that are available in DkIT, and obviously talking about how the disability office maybe helps you in that regard and really helps you get the most out of college life. And then finally, the most important thing for our users is what happens next. Like, college is really important because it gives you qualifications and a whole new experience, but I suppose it's preparing you for the future. And I suppose we're really keen to know what you're thinking at this stage in terms of the next steps for you, and maybe how DkIT helps you think about that, because not everyone knows, it's not clear for everyone. So they're the kind of areas that we're going to talk about. So if we start off, I suppose just want to talk specifically about the application process. So first and foremost, just in terms of the DARE program, just Geraldine, just to clarify, how do people kick that process off in terms of DARE, just so that they know, and how does that relate to the CAO? So, can you hear me? So how would they first go about that process? Would you advise
Of applying to DARE?
DARE, yeah, if that's, yeah.
Okay, so they will have liaised with their career guidance person at school and advise them that they want to go to third level. Yeah. So from then, the career guidance and their parents should all get involved with completing their CAO application. So they have to, I would advise them get the DARE handbook, or else go on to accesscollege.ie and start their CAO application. They fill in the online supplemental information form, SIF form, at cao.ie, complete the educational impact statement with the career guidance in the school, and then gather your evidence of disability documentation. So you can do that now because CAO opened on November the 5th.
Perfect, great.
By the 1st of February, they have to apply to CAO to be considered for DARE. So if you don't apply by the 1st of February and you decide to start your application after then, you can't apply through the DARE route. So you have to have it just started before the 1st of February.
Okay, so 1st of February is a really important deadline for everyone to be working towards. Great. And another question that we always get is, what happens if you don't, you're not eligible for DARE, or you don't apply for DARE? Can you still get support from the disability office?
Yes. So a lot of people, for one reason or another, for a start, some people aren't DARE eligible because it's only for school leavers and it's only for students who are under 23. So there are other people outside of those bracket, or other people outside those bracket, who won't be DARE eligible, but not because of their disability, or not because they don't have forms to prove that they're disabled. So once you come to DkIT, if you get in touch with the disability office, we'll have a meeting, have a chat, and we can support you regardless of whether you're DARE or not. So DARE is just an access route to a third level for Leaving Cert students under the age of 23. But we have students here in DkIT from outside of those, from all different backgrounds and different entry routes.
And I think a student today online, neither of you applied via the DARE route, and you're able to get different levels of support. So I think that's an important message to get.
Yeah, but no, just to correct it there, Tom, Connor did apply through the DARE route and he was DARE eligible. The point Connor was making was that he didn't need to use the reduced points to get on his course. Sorry. But he has gone through the DARE application process, and as he was saying, he had huge support from his parents and his school in making that application, because it is quite, there's a bit of work in it. It's not something you're going to sit down and do on the the last day in January.
Yeah.
Or like, you do need to prepare for it.
Yeah, so people should be starting now, I suppose, if they're getting that ready. Okay, great. So then just in terms of if people, I know from my own knowledge that there are some good events coming up where people can get some information, not only our open day, which is happening right now, but are there other national events that people can find information about the DARE process?
Yeah, so as I mentioned briefly earlier, the accesscollege.ie website has lots of information. They will be uploading their videos in December, as far as I know. That's the current timeline for it. That'll show you in detail through.
And there's an information day on the 9th, isn't there?
Yeah, there's an information day for DARE nationwide on the 9th. It's normally something that's in venues around the country, but because of COVID, it's going to be online, and it will be well publicised in advance of that. So the 9th of January, it's a Saturday, a very important day for anybody. It's well before the 1st of February, so that's a good day for everyone to check out online, that DARE information day.
Great. Okay, great. Okay, so next, I think, does anyone have any other tips that they would bring up about, completing even your CAO application or wider form? Is there anything that you think is really important for people to know or be aware of?
Yeah, one of the downfalls and one of the reasons why a lot of people get an ineligible outcome from the CAO is because they haven't completed the forms correctly. So when you are doing your checklist that you're sending everything off to CAO that they need, make sure all the forms are signed by the proper professional. When your school's signing it, that they have the 2 signatures on it, that they've completed all sections of the education impact statement. Just double check the paperwork that you're sending into CAO to make sure that their criteria is being met by the documentation that you're sending in. All the information is in the DARE handbook. And just to say to anyone, if there was anybody watching us today or listening that would like a hard copy of the CAO, that DARE application book, we can send it out to you, and it's read. Like the information is online, but I know some people like the hard copy, and we have some in DkIT we can get out to you if you need it.
And what if they were emailing for that, Geraldine, what can they email?
Yeah, so they can email me at disability@dkit.ie or dare@dkit.ie, probably the handiest ones.
Perfect, great. We'll include those that information in the box below. Great. Okay, so then just I suppose the next element I just want to talk about was getting that next stage. So you've gotten your application in, and you've gotten your offer, or you're expecting an offer. How do you prepare for college life? And I suppose it's a big question, but I mean, I was going to talk to you, Connor. Just how did you go about that process in terms of getting ready for college life and moving from school to college?
Yeah, so for me, it was actually getting in touch with Geraldine in the disability office and letting her explain to me that process, because there was a good few meetings with Geraldine. It was intimidating at first. It was very intimidating, but going in and meeting with Geraldine, like, she reassured me, and that. We went through everything we had to go through, like what I would need for my first day going in, and what the setup would be. Like I said, the tables, like the special high-low tables in every classroom. I met every single lecturer I was going to have about a month before I even started their lectures. So I went through what I would need with them, and I got familiar with them, which is always nice, like, so they can know themselves how to get in, how to help me out. It's an intimidating process. What I'd say as well as talking to Geraldine, I was talking to friends who are in the college, or at least were in the college at the time, and were giving me tips and advice about what to do when I got in, and just to be calm and enjoy it, which is really good advice. I'd actually say the same to anyone. If you know anyone who's in college right now, get talking to them, because they'd help you out big time.
Yeah, and I definitely think that's a great piece of advice. And I think under normal circumstances, that's why our open day, physical open day, is really good, because you can come in and meet people as well. But I suppose over the next number of months, we and DkIT will be doing a lot of digital events. Obviously, we can't have physical events at the minute, and part of those will be about interacting with lecturers, coming on and asking questions, and you can also arrange follow-up meetings with relevant member of staff. So we really encourage people to do that, because as Connor says, there's no every question is a good question, and the more you can talk to people, both friends, people in the college, etc., who can give you a better experience of what to expect, it's going to make that process a little bit easier. Ella, just down to you, I was just going to ask, in terms of that preparation from college, like, is there things that people should expect that's different about college versus school? How would you talk? What would you say about that? Good and bad, I suppose.
Yeah, no, I would say there is a lot of differences from secondary school to college, but they're positive. For me, secondary school, I didn't like secondary school. I went to two secondary schools, so I did. I just found it very difficult, especially because I didn't get diagnosed until about 3 months before I finished my 6th year. So the whole time during school, I had no clue what was going on, to be honest. And then I just found with college, like I did do a PLC as well. And I just found even going into PLC, I felt like I was kind of still in school a wee bit, because we were still on the same time as secondary school. But then when I went into college, it's just, you do have your timetable, but you're just spaced during the day and you can do whatever you want. It's not like, oh, you can go into the canteen, or you could just go somewhere. Like, one of the biggest things for me in college even was, oh, we have a spare 2 hours. We'll go down, we'll get the bus and go down to McDonald's. It's so different, and there's so many opportunities to make friends and to catch up in college work, or just go to the library or anything. Like, it's very, very different. There's a lot of freedom. And like for some people, like for me, I have Asperger's, so we love routine. So when we do have them spare gaps, it can be like, okay, what do I do for 3 hours? There is that side as well. But it's just learning to, like, keep yourself busy, make plans with your friends, or like put down like, oh, this is my study slot for this day in them 3 hours. But yeah, it's very different, but it's very free. It's just the way you want it to be. And people are so different compared to secondary school. I think Connor made a good point there as well. Like, you're meeting so many different people as well, and like there's always an opportunity. And like with DkIT, I find anyway, there's always something going on, especially when we were in the college. Like, you go around the corner and someone's doing an event or someone's doing something. Like, you're not bored. So it is nice.
Great. Well, that's really good. Yeah, Geraldine?
Yeah, I just want to add, like, the facilities around DkIT are really good. Like, as Ella said, there can be times when there's a lot of free time around the college. So we have, I know in the library, there's a special quieter zone. I know the library's quiet, but there's an extra quiet zone that students who don't like much noise can go and study in. And then there's nice green spaces where people can go and have a walk. There's great playing pitches. They can walk around the walking track, or use the DkIT sport facilities. They're all laid on by the college for all the students. But for some students that I meet, they find them as like therapeutic sessions if they go to the gym and have a swim, or they go for a walk around the track. And it's really, really supportive environment for all the students.
Yeah, perfect. Great. And actually, Geraldine, that brings me on, just as we're in the transition, talking about that transition period, what's the process for a student reaching out to you, first of all? Like, how do they do that? And what would you generally do in that first meeting, or what kind of things would you talk about to get an idea of what they need to do?
Okay, so as soon as once a student ticks that their disability box on the CAO application, whenever all the CAO acceptances are in, so it's normally the late August. Now it was later this year, but it's normally after that. I'll get a list of those people from CAO, and I'll send them all an email inviting them to come and register with the disability service, and we make an appointment then. So for anyone who doesn't come through that route, anyone who's a mature student, advanced entry, or has not ticked the box for whatever reason, they won't get that email from me, but through things like this and through induction day, they'll get to know that I'm here, and they just email me disability@dkit.ie or my name at dkit.ie. to make an appointment and come and see me. Now, it is really hectic and busy in the first few weeks, you can imagine, with all the new students coming in, but eventually we get to meet all the students. So once they say they want to meet me, I can get their information that they've uploaded to CAO. So if you've sent in your forms and your proof of disability and your evidence, your educational impact statement to CAO, I'll get all that stuff from the CAO, so you don't have to bring it to me again. We'll go through it and complete a needs assessment, and then we put a learning agreement in place. So that learning agreement is signed by the student and by myself, and it then gets sent to your school team. So the needs assessment and all the information from the CAO, it's kept securely in the office, it's confidential and nobody has access to it, only myself. Sometimes I'll be audited by the HEA and they may need to see it, and that's fine. We have a consent procedure in place, but it's the learning agreement that's shared with the school team. So it's not everyone in the school that gets your information, just the lecturers on your program.
Yeah.
And that carries forward then year on year throughout your course, and that can be changed. I mean, some students might have supports in first year and then they realize, actually I don't need X, Y, and Z, and we can change it and review it, or we can add to it if something's not working. And particularly now I'm finding this year that we're putting supports in place in an online environment, and that's quite likely to change when we come back to on-campus learning, hopefully next year. So, I mean, the students can meet with me at any time. Just send me an email and we'll meet, and we can chat over the phone or whatever it might be. If there's changes needed, or if they're struggling at any particular time, I'm there to liaise with them with the lecturing staff.
Brilliant. Great. Thanks, Geraldine. That was great. Okay, perfect. So then I suppose in terms of the preparations that we've talked about, some of the preparations, we're going to move into like student experience then. So what people can expect from general student life. And we might just talk firstly about in the classroom, like that's one of the big parts of college, lectures, practicals, etc. So I was hoping, Connor, that maybe you could talk about how have you found that experience of going to lectures, group work, different things like that. How did any supports that you received throughout that process that helped, or anything, any hints and tips that you maybe have to others, about how to manage that process?
Yeah, so the classroom, like at first with lectures, it's a big, like it's a transitional process, because you're in a secondary school for 5 or 6 years and it's all with the same people. Like you get to know them, and then suddenly you're starting fresh with people of all ages. What I did with like my classmates and that, like I always found something in common. So like if someone was from say Dunleer or Clogherhead, I did chat to them, and then it just happens naturally. You make friends naturally, and like I'm lucky enough to get along with everyone in my class, and the lecturers are so approachable. Like they are the nicest people I've ever met. Like they are actually dead on, and they'll help you out with anything. So, for example, presentations. Um, some of the rooms, some of the rooms that the college uses for presentations just aren't available for me for obvious reasons. So again, asking them to use certain rooms is great. Like, cause they'll straight away, like no hesitation. They'll be like, "Oh, which room?" They'll come here with suggestions. um, yeah, and with something like a CA, like an assignment, like they ease you into it so well that when like in a matter of weeks, yeah, you're starting to feel the expert at it. So yeah, no, it's definitely it's a completely different experience to secondary school, because
Great.
it's so approachable.
Well, I think that's feedback we get often about DkIT, is that what makes it a little bit different from other larger colleges is that sort of small class sizes, the one-to-one attention that you get, or from, and I think all students feel that. So it's great to hear that, and how that then adds to your overall teaching and learning experience, because it's much easier if you can you don't feel nervous going up to your lecturer to ask for a question, or if you're stuck in something. I think that's really important. Ella, one thing I was going to ask you was just, and this is, all of our programs, I think, across the college all incorporate elements of group work and things like that. And it's always, you know, it can go good or bad for different people. People like that and people don't. How do you find, you know, how have you found group work in your area? And, you know, how, you know, would you have, you know, and I think every student will have experiences of that, but how has that worked for you, and things that you've learned and things that you know, maybe tips that you could give others?
Well, with group work for me, in first year, I really didn't enjoy it. I really didn't. Especially if we were in large groups, I would find it very like overwhelming, because like for me anyway, with my need to have routine, I wanted it done my way. And I think now, even in third year, I've gotten so much better now at group work. And in first year, I did have a lot of groups where I asked to do it one-on-one, because I found it very difficult to kind of keep up with everyone in the group, but also do the group work. And the way I kind of just got around that was like, in first year, yes, I had my one-on-one groups, but then in second year, a few lecturers kind of pushed me like, you know your classmates now, they're not going to bite you. You're fine. Try working with other people. And I did. I pushed myself in second year. And it's just, it's a lot of just being accepting of like, okay, this is your part. You don't need to do everything. It's fine. And like, I actually began to really like group work then, when I kind of just accepted, oh, they're here to help me. They're going to help me. We're going to get it done together. I'm not going to spend all weekend doing it by myself. And like now, even in third year, especially with remote learning, I'm glad I have these skills, especially in my last year as well. It's like, I need everyone in my class to come together. And it is great. So it is now, like, how much easier it is for group work. But for me in first year, no, I just couldn't get my head around it.
But I think that's a common enough experience for of you know, many students. I think people, group work's difficult, and it's difficult not even when you leave college, but it's a really important skill to learn and navigate around, because everyone works in different ways, and you learn how you can interact with different people. And, you know, some people are easy to get on with and easier to do work with, and others are more difficult. So that's a really good skill. And I think it's great to hear how you went from a period of maybe being very apprehensive to now, you know, actually liking it and enjoying it, and being much more comfortable doing that. So that's great.
Yeah.
One other area I was going to talk about was just in terms of your you know, obviously you're planning for like CAs, and you know, you have a lot of, you know, assessments and things like that. How do you prepare for that? And are there any sports or services that are available to you to help manage that process? And I think everyone probably have different elements here, so maybe I'll take Connor first. Is, you know, how have you found that process? And
yeah, so I have a full-time PA in the college, and when I was on campus, what we used to do was we used to plan out like when the assignments were due, what the word count was, how much work I'd have to put in, because, and like, I know it's said all the time, but it's important. Like the assignments do creep up on you if you let them. Like they are. Like you wouldn't believe how quick it is. Yeah, I think it's best to talk with your lecturers individually, because they know what they want out of an assignment, and they will let you know where you're going right and wrong. And yeah, it's just they just know, like they'll help you out. The way I do it is I always tend to have my assignments done a week or two beforehand, because if you leave it till a few days, it's worst, and it turns out bad. It does turn out bad. Like it needs to be done to a good extent. Yeah, so that's my tip. Just don't leave it last minute, and have it all planned out.
great, good tip. I think that's a great one. Ella, how about you? Have you?
Over the last 3 years, I've learned a lot of different ways to deal with assignments. Now, one of the best ways was when I was in learning support. I was taught this technique where you like study for 25 minutes and then you do 5-minute break, and that really helped. But also in second year, I was still very all over the place with organizing my assignments, and I discussed with one of my lecturers actually, who for 2 or 3 weeks sat with me for an hour, and she got me a journal, just like an academic diary and a big massive wall calendar, and she filled out all my assignments into it. And I am still doing that now in third year. Before I even started this year, I had my wall calendar and my diary, because it helped me so much.
Mm-hmm.
And also with that, I get a massive like drawing pad, an A3 drawing pad, and when I get my assignments, I break it into loads of different points, and I stick it on my wall. So every assignment is just broken down on this big massive paper, and my room at the moment is covered in them. But for me, that's how it helped me with assignments. And also for me, I always sometimes get a bit overwhelmed, and like I always was like, I'll just have to get them all done. But like, you shouldn't be afraid to also ask the lecturer, okay, I have 3 assignments this week, can I get exempted on this just for 2 days, and just even get a bit more space? And for me, that's what helps me. So it is.
Brilliant, great. And Geraldine, how would you, the office support people in terms of, assessments and also exams as well? Are there other supports available to students?
Yeah, so we have what's called reasonable accommodations in exams for students. So some students will have extra time. They may use a laptop to complete their exams. They will have spelling and grammar waivers. They may need a smaller venue. It's all part of their learning agreement. So we do that at the beginning when we meet. Now, I would also advise students that if they're having a difficulty with an assignment, or with, like Ella said there's a few that may all be due in on the one day or the 1 week, that like, I am here, let me know, we can have a chat about how you can manage it. Learning support are great, and the lecturers are super. They because we have the small class numbers, you're not hundreds of people in a lecture hall. The lecturers will get to know you, and they'll know that if you're genuine and you're coming up against some problem just today, or maybe internet not working, you may be sick or whatever it is, and we can talk to the lecturers, and most times they're very accommodating to all the students.
Brilliant, great, thank you. Okay, so just in terms of the other part, really important part of student life, and the social life, and the stuff that happens outside of the classroom. So I was kind of hoping just to get your feeling on how you make friends, what activities happen throughout the year that you think are really good for students, and generally just what is the environment like on campus in terms of meeting people, or meeting classmates outside, or meeting people outside of your class. So just getting your thoughts on that, because people don't come to college just to get the qualifications. It's a very important part, but people want to have a good positive experience. So Connor, maybe you could talk us through how you find that overall experience. You've talked about some of it already, but
Yeah, you know what? It's actually, when you first join the college, it's overwhelming. Like, I remember either the first week or the second week that I was in college, there was a massive student protest, which is like, that is something you'll never see in secondary schools. So getting your head around that is mad, like, especially coming in fresh. Um, the student environment is so lovely. Like, everyone, the student union is for great people, and societies like the Institute DkIT, like, that was started by a fella that I actually know who was in my class. So yeah, it's always nice to be in societies and make friends, especially if it's people you already know, because it's just that bit easier. Yeah, if you know anyone in college before you go in, and they offer to hang around with you as well, like, that is such a nice, easy way to settle into college life. And like, there's a lot of hangout spots in the college. There's the car stand, the canteen, and the snack box. I mean, like, the snack box is great. Yeah, no, student life, like, everyone is just, it's great. Like, I love it. It's completely different to secondary school, because
great.
everyone's treated with a
Can I
level
just
of
ask,
respect. Like,
Connor, can I just ask, the way, like, we're now off campus and it's all online, have you continued to meet with your students? Like, have you Zoom quizzes, or
yeah, Zoom calls,
chat
WhatsApp
boxes or
group
whatever?
chats,
Sorry?
the whole thing. Yeah, no, it's like, and it's important to do that, because the mental health, you're stuck in your room the whole time, and yeah, like, if I didn't have that, I wouldn't know what I'd be at. But yeah, no, Zoom calls, WhatsApp group chats, everything,
Yeah.
especially with the class, like, because
Yeah.
we're all going through the same thing.
Yeah.
So I think it's important now for the new first years as well, the ones that started this year, that they're getting involved like online with each other, and they're getting to know each other in a very, very different environment, particularly the ones
Yeah.
that never have any on-campus time. So to make those connections of new friends in college. You know, it's something that's just so important.
Definitely, and I know, like, for example, the SU, this year everything's changed for everyone, but I think like the SU and different clubs and societies are all operating online and trying to adapt to the current restrictions. So I know there's quizzes and different. I know there was a DJ set recently enough from the SU where they did like an online DJ set. So people are adapting. Hopefully, we won't have to live with this environment for too much longer. But I think it's important. Like students are versatile in that regard, and I definitely it's great. It'd be good. Yeah, it's definitely good to hear how you're adapting to that.
So clubs and societies put out something the other evening. They're running online yoga and Pilates and various things for students to do and staff if they want to in the online environment. Stuff that would normally be here on campus. So that connection is still there. So.
Yeah, and I actually heard the subscriptions to yoga, online yoga, are much higher than the physical subscription. So it just shows you people maybe are more comfortable doing it at home. And but I think some of those things might continue even when we do go back to normal as well, online versus offline. Ella, I was going to ask you just in terms of when you were thinking about colleges, DkIT is different to others, like and one of the elements that is different is that we're smaller and we're all on one campus. Do you think that impacts student life or your environment here? Like, do you think that you get a sense of that when you're a student?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I just think it's much smaller. When I did my photography PLC, I got accepted into a college in Dublin, and I went up to have a look at the college and to see would I like it, and it was massive. I was like, this is far too big. And then I actually went to go see DkIT after that. And it's just, even the classrooms are smaller. There's just, DkIT is quite a big college. Like, we have different buildings, but there's kind of that all togetherness I don't think you get in other colleges. Like, we have a lot of like student events and different things, but like, even on a student night, you'd still bump into the same person and you'd be like, oh, I met you there the other week. But I think with bigger colleges, you're like, you meet someone, you won't see them again, that sort of way.
Yeah.
I do like that a lot better with DkIT. It's just, we're kind of all in it together. And even I can see that a lot since we've gone remote, the student union is really trying to tie us all together, keep us together. And like, it's great. So it is.
Yeah. I think that's something really important. It's a good way, in other colleges, I know you mightn't get to know people outside of your class because the place is so large. Whereas in DkIT, from feedback we get from students, that's not the case. You do, because it's that smaller, everyone's on the one campus. We're in a town where there's people go, there's nightlife, etc. You do get to know people from, from different areas. And we always say that it's big enough to make new friends, but small enough to know everyone sort of by face by the end of your 3 or 4 years.
Definitely agree with that.
So that's great. Perfect. So then this brings us to the last part of the Q&A. So it just really was to talk about the future. So, I suppose I wanted to just get a sense of, from the students what they're thinking, how do you think DkIT has helped them so far, and what are they thinking for the future? Maybe how it's helping them prepare that bit more. So maybe Ella, I'll start with you this time because you're that bit closer to finishing. So how are you feeling, and what are you hoping for the future? And are there any skills that you've learned at DkIT which you think will be really helpful for that next phase of your career?
Yeah, so I'm just now in my last year, so I have only like 5 weeks left of classroom teaching, and then I have 5 months placement next year, and then I'm done. And I'm looking at applying. Well, I don't see traveling happening for a while, so I'm looking at graduate programs. So I am at the moment, and also just looking at jobs. What can I get into? I just feel like with DkIT, like from looking at myself from first year to now, it's like, even just what I said there, like I can do teamwork now, I can do presentations, and like these are massive skills, especially with PR. So it is, and I just feel like I've learned a lot, not just academically but socially, because for me with my Asperger's, it's a social thing. We have a lot of issues with socializing, and now I just feel like I can bring that into the workplace.
Yeah. And have you received any supports from DkIT, the career service, or anything? Have they been helpful in helping you plan for the future, or?
Yeah, so at the moment, like we've had a few classes on like placement prep, and one of my lecturers I've had in second year as well is also helping out with that. So I have a meeting with her next week So we've gone constant emails and constant help and constant links to like, this is what you could do, this could be what you could do for placement. I'm also getting emails about graduate programs, what I can apply for. So there's just a constant help and like, you know, advice and ideas on what to do. Like, it's not like, I don't feel like now when I finish college, it's going to be like, oh, what do I do now? It's like, I'm slowly being prepared, and it's great. So it is.
Yeah, no, I think that's something that's really important. And then I think like we had our careers fair a few weeks ago. It was all online this year.
I was at that, yeah.
We're at that, yeah. So that happens every year. And I think there's more and more events like that that are happening throughout the year to really help ensure that students have an opportunity to meet with employers and meet and even learn about different career opportunities that they maybe hadn't considered before. So I think that's really important for students to know that it's not a cliff edge. You're not, finishing graduation and then it's over to you. There is preparation that happens throughout college
there's a load of help with it.
Yeah. And Connor, you're that bit earlier in your academic career, so I suppose graduation probably feels a little bit far off, but what are you thinking for the future, and maybe how are you even doing your research or learning what area you want to go on to after college?
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I'm not 100% right now, but so I have time.
But I think that's a normal feeling, so I'm not surprised.
No, it is. Like everyone in my class isn't 100%. They have ideas. They have general ideas. I would love to go on to do my level 9. Whether it's here or it's in another college, I prefer to be here because I do love this college. Yeah, I don't know, but just off the back of what DkIT teaches you, like one of the taglines is that it's career based, and it actually is. As a first year, you have no idea how essential the skills are that are taught you in class, like the group work, the presentations, even the academic writing. You never realize how essential it all is. Like I'm lucky enough that my course involves doing a bit of web coding as well, and going in I underestimated it. I was kind of like, I don't need web coding, but then I'm actually doing. I can look at it and go, actually, yeah, this is useful. This could be useful just in life after college.
Yeah,
So,
no.
yeah, you never know what skills the college can teach you.
100%. And I think that's again something that DkIT we try to bring to the fore and everything, is that our education here is more practically focused. That's a big thing that, if people are considering why they should think DkIT, that's one big area of focus for us. And what does that mean? That really means that you're learning things that are relevant to to the skills that are demanded by employers today. And that's everything from technical skills like you mentioned there around coding and different things like that, right through to things like group work and teamwork and communication skills and all these things that are really important and really in demand by employers. So I think that's why higher ed is not just about your college, it's about, or your qualification, it's about the skills, the knowledge, the practical level of learning that you get throughout the process. So that's great to hear.
Can I just say, like on the program development, like behind the scenes, the teams in all the schools, they work so hard on program development with the input of local employers and people nationally, like all of our schools have had newly validated programs in the last couple of years. So they are state-of-the-art programs that are being run with skills being given to the students that they're going to take from here into their career, and it's just super.
Yeah, we want our students to be work ready is the big thing that we always say. So different things, we work with industry to make sure that happens.
And again, the disability service can link in with the career service and with local career companies as well. If the students need that help when they're in their final year, we're here to support them too.
Perfect. That's what I was going to ask. Is there, the supports that are there from a disability perspective? Perfect. Well, that brings us to the end of the session. I think there's been loads of really great tips, hints, people's own personal opinions that have been stressed there. And I suppose the big message that we want to give to people is that there are people here to help and help and deal with any questions that you may have. On our website, you'll find information around the disability office. Geraldine, do you want to just give those websites that are important for anyone who's looking for more information? Just once again.
So accesscollege.ie is the DARE website. You'll get that through the CAO. There's the DkIT website under the student support section about the disability, and there's lots of information there. There's a good frequently asked questions section as well, and hints and tips for current students as well as students that may be coming in next year. And then we would recommend the AHEAD website, and just to send us an email, disability@dkit.ie or dare@dkit.ie, and we'll help with any questions. And like I said earlier, if you need those DARE handbooks out, we have a supply of some here. We can post them to you if you need them.
Brilliant, great. And also from an open day perspective, make sure you check out dkit.ie/open days, where you'll see all of our open days that are online for the rest of the year. And we are about to announce a series of new webinars on different programs as well on top of our open days. So definitely keep an eye out, and we'd love to have you join some of those. So just before we finish, I just want to say a huge thank you to our speakers today, Connor, Ella and Geraldine. I think you've given a really good overview of what to expect as a student here at DkIT, some of the key supports that are available by the Disability Office, and also signposting tips for anyone who is about to start that process for DARE or applying to college. So thank you very much, and we'll see you all hopefully in DkIT in September, but if not before. Thanks a million.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.